Exciting agenda planned that includes a speaker series, 2 panel discussions focusing on finance and law and STEM, an optional networking session at the end of the event, and of course, short breaks in between with refreshments.
My name is Junso Park, and I'm the president of the UW Korean Student Association. To those who may not be familiar with UW KSA, we are the biggest student-run organization in the state that celebrates the rich Korean heritage and culture. We are also a leading organization in political advocacy initiatives, winning the first in the nation for the National Voter Registration Campaign held by the Korean American Grassroots Conference last year. This academic year marked a tremendous year of growth for UW KSA, both socially and professionally. Tamso, our own Korean language exchange program for Korean and English language learners, has returned for its 2nd year. And as a co-founder of the program, I'm proud to say it continues to attract a community of language learners who are not only passionate about the Korean language, but also Korean culture.
I have to admit that I'm a little jealous that, back then when I was in the college, I didn't have such a, the incredible event like this. So speaking of the speakers, I have to say, KSA, you really outdone yourselves. So, as the Consul General, I would have a hard time gathering such an impressive lineup of speakers in one place at the same time. So, what is your secret? I really wondered it. So, the emotional blackmail or free food or I don't know, but anyway, whatever it is, it worked. I believe, that they are here because they recognize the importance of helping young Korean American students explore bigger opportunities and wider world. That's why I would like, appreciate the speakers' participation, the renowned speakers' participation here. But the world is a state of the flux. The U.S. is undergoing major policy shift. Immigration policies are changing, DEI programs are being rolled back, and many in the Korean community are wondering what this change means for them. Meanwhile, back in Korea, the political landscape is, just a little bit complex. So today, I'd like to briefly touch on fundamental aspect of Korea-US relations and share insight from some remarkable individuals. If North Korea acts up, we got your back with everything we have, including nuclear capabilities. While policies may shift under different administrations, the core of this alliance remains strong because it is built on mutual interest. Of course, the Trump administration is expected to demand additional costs to guarantee this security, but I believe both countries will negotiate well. And economically, this relationship has been transformative for Korea. In 1953, just after the war, South Korea's per capita income was a mere $67, barely enough for a pack of instant ramen today. Now, it has skyrocketed to $37,670. With the 562-fold increase, making Korea the 10th largest economy in the world. Since the Korea-US Free Trade Agreement in 2012, trade between our two nations has grown by 98%, while bilateral investment has increased by the 203%. Over the past 3 years alone, Korea has invested $100 billion in the United States, and Korea became the top investor in the United States last year. That investment has created 470,000 jobs in America, and Korean companies now offer the highest salaries among all foreign investors in the US, averaging $104,000 per year. Under these circumstances, here's something that might surprise you. while enrollment in most foreign languages at US universities has declined by 16.6%, but only Korean languages enrollment has increased by 38.3%. Currently, there are 134 colleges in the US, including UW, that offer Korean language program. They already know learning Korean is getting jobs, is getting opportunities. The key message here is this. While the US has always been an important country for Korea, Korea has now become equally important for the US. One of the driving forces behind this transformation is the Korean American community. With approximately 2.6 million Korean Americans living in the United States, many individuals have made remarkable contributions that strengthen our bilateral relationship. Today, I want to introduce 3 outstanding individuals who have carved their own unique path and serve as inspirations to all of us. First, let's talk about Andy Kim. Congressman Andy Kim, the first Korean American US Senator at the elect. You probably know him from that viral photo, like this. You remember? Yeah. At the January 6th Capitol riots, while others were making speech out there, he was quietly cleaning up the trashes and debris in the Capitol building. That single moment exemplified true leadership, not about seeking the spotlight, but about stepping up when it matters. Another defining moment came during televised debate when his opponent nearly collapsed. While most politicians would have seized the moment to make a point, Andy Kim immediately rushed over to help. That's character. As a Consul General of Korea, I would even say it reflects the fundamental Korean value, 예의 범절, etiquette and respect. But what makes his story particularly interesting is his unconventional choice in education. Instead of taking the traditional Ivy League route, he secretly applied to Deep Spring College, a tiny school with just 26 students, where students study during the day and work on a farm at night. But his story is remarkable as well. He started his company at 21 years old, and by the time he turned 30, it was valued at $195 million. CNN even named it one of the top 10 startups changed the world. Now he's only 33. So originally his dream was to be a politician. But after seeing a friend create a simple app that connected doctors and patients, he thought, what if I use AI to predict politics? That idea led to the creation of Fiscal Notes, an AI-driven company that predicts which laws will pass into Congress with an astonishing 94% accuracy. He cooked for the White House as a guest chef and recently made headlines by competing in a Korean cooking show in Netflix, Q&A class were 흑백 요리사. How many of you watched the show? Yeah, a lot. Okay, so you can understand what I mean now. But what set him apart wasn't just his cooking. It was his storytelling. He blended his American experience with his Korean heritage, creating dishes that tell a story. And people don't just love his food, they love his humility, his passion, and his connection to his identity. Here's the big takeaway. Success isn't just about what school you went, what major you picked, or what job you landed after graduation. Andy Kim's story wasn't just about the politics, it was about character and narrative. Timothy Hwang's success came from seeing an opportunity others didn't. Eldridge Lee's impact wasn't just about cooking, it was about identity. So don't be afraid to take risks, to embrace what makes you unique, and to carve your own path.
All right, here we go. As any good investor will do, any good arrogant investor, you'd like to brag about investments you've made, and so I want to start off by talking about two of the greatest ones, two of my greatest achievements, right? Of which I'm very proud and have eye-popping stats. You know, I've written them up there. I'm going to try to go through this quickly so you all can do your own reading. But you know, the first one's it's almost 10 years in, phenomenal growth, continues to surprise us every day. The other one almost 6 years in. Again, it speaks for itself. These are sort of amazing things that I continue to be blown away by every day. And so now you're on the edge of your seat. You want to know what are these? Can I get in on these too? These are my kids. This is Quincy and Marlo. They're 10 and 6, and that's how big they are now. But to start out a lighthearted way, I know we're going to get into serious career talk about business and how you can succeed, but don't forget your why, right? This is what's important to me, and remember what's important to you as you start on your journey in your career as well, because that's going to be your North Star. But let's get to the good stuff. So Staccato Management, again, as I said, I'm a partner there on the management committee there where I lead the venture capital investing. And so this is a snapshot of what we are. It came out a little smaller than I thought, so good. Actually, it's not on the website, but for you other investor nerds out there, if you want to come guess what stock this is, I'll tell you if you're right. In the last 5 years, 25x, right? That is, in the investment world, that is phenomenal. Like, go ahead and sail off into the sunset if you pull off returns like that. But the point is, like, you can almost see where I kind of cherry-picked that 3-month thing out of this period. Like, that 3 month does not define this journey, right? It's that 5 year. You got to remember, this is a long journey, and how it applies to you all with your careers. You got to remember that you have a long arc here that's starting, and you should know where you're headed. And so those little 3-month rocky periods, that shouldn't shake you if you're pointed in the right direction, right? That's a lot of the advice that I really treasure that I got from folks, which is always know kind of where you want to be in 3 years, and 5 years, and 10 years. That way, when you're in those rocky periods, you know, like, am I still headed to that spot I want to go to? Am I still on that path? And if you are, that's great, keep going, right? But if you're not, then maybe course correct and pivot. But take the long view and when you're doing it, no big.
Nice pivot points. Many people say, oh my God, Cheryl, you've done so many things. I was a mechanical engineer. That was my undergraduate here. By the way, I'm a triple Husky. And then I was to local politics. So you're looking at a local politician. I also had a stint in a small little software company called Microsoft. There's a little photo hinted that YB shared. It's got some connection there. And then I decided to become a lawyer. And then I also had a stint in leading a nonprofit organization. And so everybody said, oh my God, Cheryl, you've done so many amazing things, right? And I said, yeah, fine. But you know, some people could say, well, lady, do you know what the hell you want to do with your life when you grow up? Versus, okay, you know, I'm still trying to figure it out. So to me, that's what engineering life's pivot points is about. Before I talk a little bit further, can I just know my audience a little bit? How many of you guys are freshmen? There's always amazing speakers that were coming into school every day. There were 2 classes of people. One, I was like, oh, I gotta do my study. I gotta go to the library, I gotta study, I gotta get ready for the exam. And there was another group that said, forget school, man, I gotta meet YB, because I'm interested in this presentation, right? And so really, I look at my classmates, those that took time to really network well are doing amazing. Just keep that in mind, that is so important, okay? And so for me, to talk a little bit about my career, as I said, I'm a triple Husky. I apologize, I didn't have much time to put into my slides either. I was in fact working on it when I got here, so I do apologize. But since this is University of Washington, I kind of pivoted around my 3 degrees, okay? Trust me, degrees don't define what you do, but that's what I decided to pivot around, right? So I started as a mechanical engineer. And you're like, oh my God. So when I was 7, my parents immigrated, and we landed in Seattle. So I was the oldest of 4 kids, and I don't know if many of you resonate with this immigrant story, but we were in survival mode. We're in a 1-bedroom apartment. My grandma came with us so that she could babysit us. So I'm the oldest of 4 kids. The youngest baby sister was only 6 months. All right, so it was tough. So I grew up, I studied hard like a good girl should do, and I thought, gosh, what am I gonna do when I go to college, right? And I started thinking about different careers. I had no idea what an engineer did. I still don't quite figure it out. I haven't figured it out yet, but I found out as a sophomore or junior year in high school, boy, engineering, the ratio of the guys to girls is incredible. Meaning in mechanical engineering, of all the engineering schools, right? Out of 100 people in a class, maybe there's 1 or 2 girls. I don't know, many of you guys know Asiana Airlines? They're now merging with Korean Air, but I helped launch Asiana Airlines. You guys are thinking, man, she's old. Their first airplane, 747, I was on that flight, and I got to fly to Korea as part of that inaugural maiden voyage. And so a lot of great stories there. Well, I was an engineer there. My Korean background, my father, when I was growing up, he forced us to speak Korean at home. Oh, we hated our parents. They were the meanest, right? Like during summer vacation, my dad made us write like in Korean so that we could keep the language. But boy, when I got to Boeing, my Korean came in so handy. I was working with Asiana, I was working with Korean Air, I was like flying over there to take care of issues. There's tons of wonderful stories that I can tell you. But the fact that I understood not only the language, but the culture, because of my parents, right? Respect, understanding broken English, because many of the Korean people, and I also work with Japan Airlines or Nippon Airways, they all came to, Boeing and have the meetings. Some of my white peers could not understand. So you know what white folks do when they can't understand? They talk louder. What was that again, Mr. Chung? Right? Instead of really trying to listen and speak. And so that really helped me a lot. When I started at Boeing, I knew I'm a people person. So another tip, know what you like to do. Know what drives you. So I'm driven by people, as you can tell. I love the energy that I'm getting from you guys. I feel like I'm gonna get about 10 years younger because of you guys, right? And so I love working with people, and I said, you know what? I chose engineering because I wanted to challenge the status quo. If boys can do it, I can do it. But ultimately, I want to work with people. I'm not gonna be sitting at a desk like punching my calculator. So I said, within 5 years, I'm gonna go get my MBA. So that was my goal, I had it in place. But something came along the way, and, I decided to run for office. So, in 1997 or 1995, there's a small city called Shoreline. Have you guys heard of it? Right north of Seattle? Yeah. So, I went to Shoreline School District there, and I grew up there, and I was working at Boeing. And the city incorporated, a brand new city. So here's an opportunity. I thought, how many living person could say, I built a city in my lifetime? So I said, hell, I'm gonna run. Right? But again, that's a joke side of me. The other side of it is that after the LA riots, right, our Korean American community, they were depressed. They needed political empowerment. And I felt like, what an opportunity for me to get involved in building something brand new, like a brand new city, but also lifting up our Korean community so that they can get more involved. Why? Because we're not like living in Korea. We are Americans. We need to take ownership. And so that's why I ran. And I served 2 terms, and when I ran, I was, geez, I'm gonna reveal my age here, but I was in my mid-20s, okay? And I was the youngest Asian American elected to office. I'm sorry, you go to Boeing, you go to Microsoft, you get to these big companies, you're set. But I quit, and I went, and I did the MBA at University of Washington, and then you know what? When I graduated, I did not have a job. Can you believe it? And so, of course, my parents were worried. But you know what? There's a company called Microsoft. And during my business school, I didn't interview at all. And they weren't interested. Like, Boeing engineer, why would be? And this is the year, before when most of you were born, it's when the tech boom was happening, right, YB? In 2000, 2001. And so, but I went to an event, it was a community event, where Vice President of Microsoft by the name of Brian Valentine, do you remember Brian Valentine? He was the keynote speaker. Well, I was back then a city council member, and I had to talk about community service. 2 minutes? Do I have 2 minutes? Somebody better keep time, or else I can talk forever, okay? And so, at that meeting, after the vice president of Microsoft, he oversaw over 5,000 people, I went up and spoke. I said, ladies and gentlemen, serving your community is so important. But I also threw some jokes at the vice president and talked about it. And afterwards he said, so Cheryl, what are you gonna do when you're done with politics? I don't know, nobody's taking me, maybe Microsoft will. And you know what he said? Send me your resume. And so I waited a few days and I said, Brian, really nice meeting you. Attach this my resume. If you're just gonna, send it off to some people, forget it, that's fine. But if you're really gonna do something with it, please let me know. And here it is. And you know what? I later found out he personally reached out to several departments and said, here's a really cool person, we think she'll be a great person for Microsoft. My father passed away in 2006, and I was like, shit, people do die. Sorry, I swear to. And I realized, it dawned on me that, yeah, we do die. I went to so many funerals, but yet people die. And when it was your parent, it was real hard. Many of you guys may not know this, maybe it is you know. But then I said, what am I going to do with my life? And I wanted to live a life that's impactful and influential. Do you see, every decision I make, there's a theme here. Okay? And I knew that American society, we're such a litigious society. Lawyers, we love to hate, hate to love, but it's fundamental. And also during this time, I was doing a lot of work in the community, serving. And some people I talked to, like I wanted to get some advice on how do I help our community. And they said, oh, you gotta go talk to a lawyer. I met, and I brought a couple other people to me and said, look, you guys, I'm a first-year law student, okay? I know what the law said, but you know what? Sometimes that is not everything. You gotta do the right thing. Can you believe it? Yeah, all right. And then, you know.
Just 10 years ago, I was working as a game marketer at a Korean game company which is coordinated Smartgate. I'm not sure you have heard about Ghost Heart, which is the MMORPG game. That's what I have worked before. My first major was Korean language and literature. I studied at Seongsin Women's University. So I'm the very far person from the STEM field, I think. To other school and community college to meet all the university entrance requirements. As I'm not sure have you been there, but as I studied later than others, so I need to finish all the requirements, yeah, such as high school studies. Yeah, especially English and mathematics, those are the hardest parts for me because I studied Korean. So maybe my Korean much better than you guys. Yeah. So after a lot of efforts and times, and finally got into university, which is the University of British Columbia, which is located in the Vancouver, Canada. But my very first class was incredibly challenging. It was CPSC 101, which is the first year computer science study. The pace of class was so fast, and they assigned the homework without teaching anything. It was ridiculous, right? But that's very normal thing in engineering class. That's when I was confronted with something called the imposter syndrome. Yeah, I'm sure many of you have heard about it, right? When I studied computer science, I felt like a sense of defeat every time I walk into class. Like I feel like surrounded all the brilliant, smart kids, and I'm the only one who could understand why am I here. So I even started think that engineering, computer science things are not actually my thing. I thought maybe I'm just not naturally not good at mathematics, or I'm maybe not, my English not good enough, or I also think I'm the only one who doesn't understand the professor's class, so it made it hard to even go to class. Yeah. So I think studying in a high class, good university, such like University of Washington, I think many of you also feel this kind of feeling, I'm sure. Even most of my friends get hired by big tech companies, and that's make me to comparing others with me. Yeah, that I was consistently think that, oh, my friends just got into Google, my friends go to Microsoft, but what am I doing here? Even I studied together. So I started doing this secret method, which is fake it till you make it. So this is very good solution, I can tell you, because I proved myself. Even if I wasn't good at coding, I acted like I am. I acted like a person for smart kids who are naturally good at coding. Even if I wasn't good at mathematics, but I pretend to be math genius.
And thinking about maybe I should stop and think about it, because when you keep moving it, you cannot think it. Because whenever you are in the wrong way, if you are driving it, you should pull over first and then check the GPS. Because if you're checking the GPS and having a hard time to find the direction, you will see the accident because you're totally distracted. The reason why I made a title as a mindfulness from the weightlessness is, whenever I go to this kind of public location, talk about my presentation, I always try to do my best, whatever ideas I can share that I've never shared through the website or media or any kinds of interview or kind of like that. Because while you are here, you don't want to waste your time. Then I should give you really precious things. Only you can hear from me without checking the Google or without asking the GPT or kind of like that. So mindfulness from the weightlessness means and what I thinking of, what I thought about, and then what I realized, and what kind of inspiration I've got during the space flight. So those mindfulness from the weightlessness. That happened. Yeah, astronaut selection process. I feel so jealous about you guys because you have a museum flight just 30 minutes away from here. And then you can inspire by all space things and aerospace thing, and you can go to the Everett factory to see the airplane kind of thing. But when I was in Korea, in your age, we even don't have a science museum good thing. And nowadays we have a lot in Korea also. And I've never thought about the space. I've never thought about the aerospace at all. And I've never taken the airplane even until I became a mid-20. But one day they said they will pick the astronaut in Korea in the very first time in the history, Korean history. About to go to the pre-med or even medical school or MBA or anything is not yours. Because where you're born and what kind of family you were born under makes a huge things in your life. It doesn't mean the depressed. It means it's grateful because you are here. Because half of the population, they are having a hard time right now, struggling in their life. And what should we do? We should be grateful what we have, rather than the complaining. I told you, what's the evidence? Whatever you have, you start complaining. You are dying to have a new iPhone. After a year, another new iPhone comes up, you're just waiting for why it's not broken yet. Yeah. And you really want to have a Wi-Fi when you have a new rent in your apartment. It takes a whole week. Once you have a Wi-Fi, you call the Comcast, it's too slow. So if you feel complaining about something, it means you have something. If you don't have your mom, there's no whining moms to bother you. If you don't have a country like a refugee, you don't have any government to complain about it. If you don't have a university to go there, there's no place to complain about your jobs and everything kind of like that. So I realized that, oh my God, whole earth is given to us. We all live in a space. We could be born in a Mars or Jupiter, and then right after we're born, we might be die, but we are living on the earth. So let's think about it and be more mindful. And please listen to your own voice, because no matter how good company your friends go, don't follow them. If it's not yours, it will kill you. So know yourself is really, really, really important. And thank you so much for coming here in precious weekday night. You move. You get out of your comfort zone. You came here to meet people. You came here to get a better idea. You already start something. So be proud of yourself. Don't be depressed. You will be somebody. And then don't be impressed by all the speakers here, because in 20 years, we will go to you, ask an autograph and take a photo, because you will be our future. So be nice to the people, because you don't know who will be what. And then be proud of yourself.
Very clear track of what you do. You work hard, you go into private equity, you become this super rich, obnoxious person, and I was down to be that. And I thought that's what I was going to do. But in banking, you work really hard and you take yourself a little too seriously, and that's what I was doing in New York as well. I was working on live deals, and my brother, if any of you all know him, I'm sorry, but he's a year older than me. He married a woman from Korea, and I went to their wedding. Hey, Stephen Brown, he was there at that wedding too. Went to that wedding in Korea from New York.
To Canada, and I always have some ideas that I want to make the world in a better place. I want to make some positive impact to others, and so that's always my life goal. And I also seeking around many other different jobs, like I think same way as Soyeon did. Like I put down all the possible jobs that I can choose and I eliminate what I dislike. And then what I found that software engineering actually can change the world. Like think about your cell phone or your laptop, whatever you use for software engineering, and if you're using any convenient app, application, or software that change your life, have you ever any experience that kind of things? I also have that things. So I think that maybe software engineering that really matches with my life goal. So I decided to switch my career as a software engineer. I think I loved my job right now because I make a lot of positive impact to be throughout the teams. I know you're
said imposter syndrome and fake it till you make it, which you hear those a lot in career verbiage, I would say. But you know what's interesting is that I feel like for you those two things may have been linked, and I'm not convinced you were faking it. Like you can't fake winning a hackathon, right? So if I were to give you my super unofficial diagnosis, I think you were just being too humble and modest. And I think you were always a very skilled coder, and you had the skills. And I wonder if it's just in your nature not to be as loud, proud, and or
what you want to do. Have a purpose for your goal. That's my quote. Have a purpose for your goal.
I can tell. Be proactive. Be yourself.
Great. All right, Libby. Yeah, last one. Bring us home.
I'm gonna use some semicolons here. One is work harder, semicolon. Money is not that important, semicolon. This is gonna go by way faster than you think.
That's great. Thank you, everyone. Please give them a round.
I am a mom to a college freshman, which means that I try very hard to give advice, but not to nag. And I am very realistic in knowing that the advice that I give to college students is something that it's your decision. So 잔소리 안 하려고 되게 노력하고 있어요. So it's your decision that any advice that I'm giving today is for you to take it and digest it the way you see fit and apply to your life. But this is in no way supposed to be something that I'm just shoving down your throat. So let's go ahead and get the first question started. So we live in this beautiful state of Washington. Mount Rainier is one of the most well-known landmark in Washington State. So this is a trivia question before we get into our Korean talk. Do you know how tall Mount Rainier is? You have to know this if you're living in Washington State. All right, we're doing okay. Only 15 of you got it right. So let's actually go on to the next question, please. Next question. I am a proud Husky lifer. Cheryl, you say you're a triple Husky. I'm also a Husky lifer, which means that I received my PhD degree at the University of Washington. I stayed on as a postdoc. And I also got a faculty appointment. Now I'm the chair of my department. UW has this history of wonderful inventions. Only a fraction of what is being done, the wonderful work that's being done, or that has been done at the University of Washington. Let's go on to the next question, please. So, how did my mother, when she finished college, decided that I want to go to the US for my graduate degree? Imagine in the early 60s sending a woman in Korea overseas to go to graduate school. Despite all the naysayers of the relatives and friends, my grandfather was progressive enough to send his daughter to US to get her graduate degree. So she got her degree, went back to Korea, got a faculty appointment, got married, but when my oppa was born, she gave up everything that she worked for to stay home and raise a family. So growing up in that household, I told myself that instead of becoming a lawyer like the aptitude said that I should be, I'm going to be a professor and finish the work that my mother never got to finish. It was not until my academic advisor asked me, how do you know you want to be a professor? You've never been one. You've never tried one. So how do you know you want to be a professor? And I said, I'm on the fast track mind. I came to the US as a 유학생. I'm going to get my advanced degree. I'm going to be a professor, so I don't need this distraction that you're telling me. But I am really glad that I listened to my advisor. So during graduate school, I took a part-time job at a very small private college who will actually accept someone who doesn't have an advanced degree to actually teach there. And I fell in love with teaching. And I knew at the moment that, yep, I think I am meant to be a professor because I really love teaching. So what is my message to you for this first part of my talk? What is your passion? What is your career goal? Do you know that already? Great. You still haven't figured it out? Fantastic. What I'm asking you to do is take your time to explore the options you have. Not because the area you want to go into is because the area somebody says, oh, you need to go into this area. Or because somebody says, you'll be really good at it, you should try this. But because, number one, that is the area that you're passionate about. But number two, that is the area that you will take your time to explore different options there are so that you can actually truly find out what you like and what you don't like and make a decision for yourself. So could we go on to the next question, please? Use your story and your life lessons that you've learned to build up yourself. Use that life lesson to build up others, and use that life lesson to build community. Because when you actually show your work integrity and people see that you don't take the shortcut but you do things the right way, you become that person in that field that you are passionate about, that we talked about earlier on. You become that person who makes everything around you and everybody around you.
Still 18. Even though I'm 42 and I feel like 62, I just did, I think, 10 cases this week. I'm tired. I just did a big surgery just a few minutes ago. But I was like you guys. Here's a picture on the left, and I don't drink, but these guys do. And you can see that after a first month in college, this was kind of what I was exposed to. And you know, if this guy could do it, and he turned into this guy on the right, you guys could do it too. I know back in the day, if you had asked that kid, he would have been a doctor or even a surgeon, a spine surgeon of all things, I would have said no way. It would have been impossible, but here I am as a physician. Anyone do that, right? You could start at 18 or 22 and go into tech and you know, get a stock option like a lot of my tech buddies do and do well, right? Well, for me, this is a very personal journey. You know, this being a Korean association, it's important to me. I think it's awesome that you guys are all Korean because there's this connection. For me, I'm a son of a Korean immigrant. My parents came over when I was 6 years old. This is my family on the left, my dad on the right, my mom right to the left side of me. And little did I know they had some marital issues back then, which is probably why my mom came over here. But she brought myself and her to Los Angeles in pursuit of the American dream, to pursue a better life for herself and for me. This is our little family on the right. This is our first trip to Disneyland, one of 2 trips. And my kids have been to Disneyland 6 times in the last 2 years, so it's a very different life, right? Was to be the point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers or the Chicago Bulls. And that was my dream. And I believed it. I mean, you could see this, you know, little chubby kid wearing Air Maxes and a Chicago Bulls shirt. I loved basketball. It was my life. And I tried so hard. You know, I played point guard for my high school team, 4 years varsity. I was pretty good. I was like the Jeremy Lin before Jeremy Lin. But I didn't make it. I wasn't fast enough, I wasn't tall enough, and it was disappointing. When I got to college, I just realized this wasn't gonna work out for me. Even though I still love hoops to this day. I mean, YB and I were just talking about hoops at age 45 and 42. I just asked him, you still play basketball? Because I haven't played basketball in about 15 years because I don't want to get hurt. And so I had to get back to the drawing board in college when I was your age. You know, what am I going to do with my life? And I love sports, so I volunteered. I volunteered at the YMCA, I substitute taught, I was a high school basketball coach for the freshman team. And one day, one of the parents came up to me and asked me if I wanted to volunteer on our missions trip, a medical missions trip to Baja, Mexico. And I wanted to travel at the time, so I said yes. I said, sure, why not? I just wanted to explore, like you guys. There's so many different specialties. You know, if you go to the hospital, if you look top down, there's pediatrics, internal medicine. And so it started all over again. And so what did I do? I just started volunteering again, trying to explore, just like the professor was talking about. Learning about what else is out there. And I think that's the main point here, just to constant learn and be open to what other people have to say and what else is out there.
I want to just draw from my professional experience that I am also on the admission committee for the School of Dentistry here. And anything that has to do with health care industry, so rather than academia, I'll kind of focus on that for this particular question. And when we see people who are interested in getting into dentistry and talk about it, I want just people to understand that there's a whole lot more involved than just your experience in healthcare that we're interested in. Because if you want to get into healthcare industry or healthcare field, those experiences great, shadowing, anything that you've done is great, but there are other parts of that. Teamwork, collaboration with others, your communication skills, those are really all important factors that you need to consider. So don't be so myopic about the area that you want to get into, but really think about there are so many other parts that you need to train yourself and make sure that you're really well versed in those areas outside of the specific field that you're getting into.
Yeah, it's kind of related with all the things the incredible doctors talked about it. And any technology field, or even space and aerospace, you cannot do by yourself. It's the people. Because I realized that when I have a space flight also, because I think it's not fair, because television camera just showing me, and then people feels like astronauts are so smart and then great, and then they hop on the spaceship and then go up to the space and oh my God, they are incredible. It's not. Because of the thousand of the people walking behind me and then behind the scene, thanks to them, we can fly. And then some people ask me, isn't it scared? And then did you feel scared? And not because I'm brave, but because I trust my team, I can be brave. Because I trust the person who built the rocket, I already met them. How much they love building the rocket. And then I already met the people who pack my things for my experiment. And they have a passion and energy. And then I think like, maybe I can risk my life for them. So because we trust each other. So no matter how technology field you are in, no matter smart you are, high IQ you have, higher degree you have, it doesn't matter, you should work with the people. Working with the people is the most important, and that's the misconception that if you are smart enough, you can get a job. If you have a degree, you can get a job. It's not. Actually, you should know the people, you should convince the people, you should have a capability to communicate with the people. It means I want to keep in touch with them. So I'm trying, because without trying it, you cannot keep it. No matter how good thing, and then any good thing, you should make an effort to keep it. Because something free, mostly it's not the thing you want to have. But always a good thing and precious thing, even including people, they require some payment, not only resource, but also your energy or time and thought. So I'm doing my best to keep it, but it's not easy actually, yeah.
I absolutely agree with what Dr. Yi has just said. Make an effort to keep in touch. It doesn't have to be constant connection, but once you establish the connection, there are ways that you can just occasionally send an email or even card and say hello. Make sure that it doesn't look like transactional relationship. YB kind of emphasized that earlier in the earlier panel, that make sure that you are just keeping in touch, even if there's nothing that you want to ask them for. So that you maintain that either friendship or career connection with them. And one thing I want to point out and encourage you to think about is please don't underestimate the power of international working relationship. That you don't have to be in the same institution, you don't have to be in the same area, you don't even have to be in the same country. There are many opportunities in this day and age for you to actually have collaborative efforts with people all over the world. So if you're moving from one nation to the next, and you are afraid that you're going to lose that connection, that maintaining that connection will actually open the doors for you at some point to work together or find a project that you can work on together. So just make sure that you maintain that relationship, but always think about what opportunities are there for you to actually make that connection and pull in these different people from different parts of the world who might be able to actually provide the resources that might not be available in your place. So just don't underestimate the power of that connection and the collaboration or potential that you could have.
Yeah, I think as a physician, it's actually fairly easy to reconnect with a lot of your colleagues and your mentors. Every year, there's multiple meetings throughout the year. And so they're always a nice